This time on Monkey Life. Kai says goodbye to his mum and heads to the orang nursery.
All right, little man.
Woolly monkey Ayla fends for herself as mum Piquita lavishes attention on her new baby.
She's had her nose put severely out of joint by the arrival of her baby brother.
And Paddy's chimps are made to work for their treats, but baby Bart isn't interested. Monkey World, tucked deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate unwanted and abused primates from all over the world.
What we did find was a body in the freezer. It's not good news. I haven't undone it to see if it's the infant.
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes from 17 different species. Young Kai is on the lookout. Ever since the orang enclosure was split in two to allow both Gordon and Tuan's groups to have their own outdoor space, he's been fascinated with who is over the other side of the fence. Tuan has been equally as inquisitive in the neighbouring enclosure and keen to protect his territory. But this ritual will soon become a thing of the past for Kai because he's moving out. And the reason is stepdad Gordon. He's suddenly maturing into a fully grown adult and showing the beginnings of cheek pads.
Gordon's changing, you know, those secondary sexual characteristics are coming on now, and every time you look at him, he's bigger, he's starting to get his cheeks, you know, he's going to start acting like a fully adult dominant male, and typically males aren't tolerant of other males. We've seen the way that Gordon is behaving towards Kai change. You know, they used to have great play sessions, and now he kind of is establishing his dominance and being more kind of divorced from Kai.
The team are keen to avoid a repetition of what happened to Gordon when he was Kai's age. He hurt his eye when Tuan lashed out at him.
Tuan was mating a female that Gordon got involved, actually Amy, Gordon's mother. And again, that is entirely normal behaviour. You see that in the wild, you know, adolescents interfering when their mothers are mating with adult males. So, you know, if Gordon's going to be showing interest in Xiao Kai again now, and also potentially Ame, we don't want Kai in a situation where he's perhaps curious as to what's going on, and he's at the wrong place at the wrong time and gets a telling off that could end up in something a bit more serious. So, you know, rather than take the risk, I think we need to move him sooner rather than later.
Kai is going to the nursery to join Oisin, Sylvester and the gang. The hardest thing for the 7-year-old will be leaving his mum, Xiao Kai. Kai was her first child, and the two of them are very close. She's always been very protective of Kai, and even when Jin was born, continued to spend lots of time with him. But staff have been trying to wean him off her gradually.
Orangutans in the wild have the longest period where they're dependent on their mothers, so we've been gradually building up the periods that Kai was separate from mum.
The separation won't be easy for Xiao Kai either. She's a brilliant mum and is the only orang at the park so far to care for her own children. Kai is only going a short distance, but the team will have to transport him in a carrying crate. Mum Xiao Kai is oblivious to what's going on.
Okay.
Having been born at the park, Kai has never moved anywhere in a travelling crate before and is reluctant to venture out, despite the treats on offer.
We stand back a bit.
He's in the tunnel, but the team still need to get him into the crate. They've put some familiar items in the box to tempt him in, but orangs are very intelligent. And he's not going to make this easy for them. He does eventually try the crate for size, but cautiously leaves one foot outside to avoid being shut in. And when Jeremy tries to catch him out, he's quick off the mark. It could be a long day. Paddy's group are being kept inside because the chimp team are preparing a special treat for them. They've put up a log feeder which hopefully will encourage some natural behaviour.
What we're doing for Paddy's chimp group today is we're actually filling some logs that we've drilled holes in, and we're putting some yoghurt inside it and scattered also a little bit of sunflower seeds because they love yoghurt and sunflower seeds. We're also supplying them with some browse. They have to then find all the branches, and they then will use them as tools to actually dig into the yoghurt log and pull all the yoghurt and the seeds out and lick it all off.
Paddy leads the way, followed by Buster. They're all keen to see what the team have left for them. But it's Kay who's first to try out the feeder. She manages to get a few seeds, but hasn't worked out how to get at the yoghurt. Gamba, however, is very bright and heads straight for the browse. He's realised he's going to need some help getting at the treats. But he's going to have to be quick, as Mickey and Buster are already digging in. They're cleverly using sticks to get in the holes. In the wild, some chimpanzees use twigs and branches in the same way to get at ants and termites. They fish out the creatures from their nests by poking a stick into the mound. The termites defend themselves by biting on the stick, and the chimps lick them off. This is an ideal opportunity for youngest member of the group, Bart, to pick up some essential skills. But he's more interested in playing than learning how to forage, and Cindy has something he wants. 4-year-old Bart is Paddy's son, and being the baby of the group is spoilt rotten. He knows he doesn't really have to make an effort with the log feeder, as he always has food on tap. Chimps feed from their mums on and off up to the age of 5. And Susie is always happy to oblige. At Gordon's orang enclosure, Kai is wary. He's locked in the tunnel, but doesn't want to climb into the crate. The team have tried to bribe him with various treats.
They're Vietnamese coconut ones. Very tasty.
But he hasn't been tempted.
Hey.
However, when Kara turns up with his favourite milkshake, his resolve is finally broken.
Let's just move him now.
Kai's not happy about being shut in the box, but it's only going to be for a very short time.
OK, you got the ratchets, well done.
All right, little man.
Right, if we go, keep going that way. Yeah, OK.
Are you okay there?
Shh. Hey, just 1 minute. What, you want the door closed? What you do? Don't worry.
He can't wait to get out.
You're coming this way now. Genesis, honey?
This is unfamiliar territory for him. He's only ever lived with his mum in Gordon's group. The welcoming committee is on hand. Jolie's intrigued by the stranger. But the team have decided she might be a bit much for Kai at first. They're going to ease him in gently. In the wild, orangs do leave their mums around Kai's age, but it happens gradually. In captivity, it has to be an immediate wrench.
There's no way to replicate how Kai would have moved away from his mother in the wild, which is a very gentle, gentle process.
Mischievous duo Lingga and Dinda are going to be the first to welcome Kai.
We have contact.
But for the time being, it's just going to be through the mesh. Kai seems unfazed.
You see this? He's sticking his tongue through.
Lingga, as always, is the troublemaker. Kai suddenly notices a familiar face. Xiao-Ning has been allowed in with Lingga and Dinda. Until recently, she lived with Kai in Gordon's group. But Lingga is still being aggressive towards the new boy.
Lingga seems very full on with him, but I think it's more of like little kids in the playground. The little girl who actually has quite a shine or a fancy to the new young man is kicking him in the shins and running away right now. But when they see Ning go in with him, I think they'll start realizing that it's actually something that they want to do. So to give Kai a bit of comfort and reassurance, we'll get Xiao-Ning straight in with him, and then we can build up to the others, Dinda and Lingga and Jolie, Oshina and Sylvester eventually. Good girl, Ning.
The two orangs seem delighted to be back together.
To say that he's never really been away from his mum, he's done very well. Yeah, because they can scream and scream and scream for days and days and days. They have the capability, whereas he's obviously not going to do that.
At the marmoset house, 5-year-old Max is all alone today because his companion Betty Boo has died. The two monkeys struck up an unlikely friendship, and her death will hit him hard. She was the park's oldest marmoset.
Jeremy found her in her nest basket unresponsive, so really at 15 or more years old, we really needed to help Betty Boo, and Jeremy very quietly and kindly put her to sleep, and she wasn't even aware, didn't even raise her head.
Betty was another victim of the British pet trade. She was rescued by Alison and her late husband Jim Cronin from a house in Southampton in 2003.
Let it go.
Her owner was actually an older lady who was having problems with her mobility and things, but had kept Betty Boo inside of her sitting room in a small cage and would let Betty Boo out onto her shoulder to have snacks, and she'd brush her with a toothbrush.
But, unbeknown to her owner, Betty wasn't in great health because she hadn't been given the correct vitamins.
Please don't get me wrong, her previous owner loved her to bits and really cared for her, but this is the tragedy of the British pet trade so many times that we find the owners are so well-meaning and love their pet monkeys, but really don't understand what their needs are, and that the vitamins they require, supplemental vitamins into their diet, are absolutely essential a couple of times a week or their bones will break. Betty Boo was a prime example of that. Really bad crippling rickets that left her with broken limbs that were fused. And I would have never expected from that little cage in that sitting room in Southampton that we would be able to give Betty Boo the quality of life that we did for so many years.
Betty's easygoing nature made her a favourite, not only among the primate care staff, but also with the park's other marmosets. However, it's her special relationship with Max that she'll be remembered for. He struggled to get on with any of the other marmosets until he met Betty.
Betty Boo and Max were the match made in heaven. He was happy, she was dominant, and all was good for them when they lived together. How I'm gonna pick a new individual to try with Max, I don't know, but we need to try and do something for him, so I'll have to get busy on that now. Betty Boo's been with us for so many years and represented a lot of what Monkey World stands for, that the individuals matter, and that we did everything we could to make Betty Boo's life good and secure and stable here at the park. And up until her last day here, She was catching insects, so really pleased for her. At the same time, very sad that she's passed on now.
Maintenance staff have had to uproot a tree and have decided to give the stump to a good cause. It's going in Lavar's woolly monkey enclosure.
It's got lots of bugs and stuff still in the roots, so yeah, we're going to let them out and just demolish this as much as they possibly can. At the moment they're having to move it. It's a bit too close to the overhang and we don't want any bouncy monkeys being able to climb onto it and then bounce over the fence and out, so they're going to have to just move it a little bit more into the centre of the enclosure so we don't get any escapes.
There's been a lot of upheaval in Lavar's group recently because Piquita gave birth and no one had guessed that she was pregnant.
It's really important that we keep the whole group busy at the moment just because Piquita has just had the baby. He's only a couple of weeks old and all her attention is concentrated on him. So just to keep everyone else busy, to leave her alone with the baby, we've put this in the hopes that they'll find it nice and fun and everyone will have something to do. Ayla especially, it's important that we find lots of fun things for her to do. She's not particularly happy that she's got a new little baby brother just because he's taken all of Mum's attention away from her. So really, really important we keep her nice and busy.
An extra helping of the woolies' favourite snacks should entice them over. As the dominant male, Lavar is first on the scene and shows his authority by displaying. Piquita is next with her newborn in tow.
Piquita's baby's doing fantastically well now. He's 2 weeks old. He is definitely a boy and we've named him Manny. He's just at the stage now where he's starting to lift his head off of her and have a look around and his eyes are nice and wide and open. He's taking notice of everything that's going on around him. He's just really taking in all his surroundings and all his other group mates.
It doesn't take Piquita long to dig out the grubs. She's always had a good appetite, and today there's no stopping her.
Piquita with her food is like trying to take a dummy from a baby. It's not possible a lot of the time. She absolutely loves her food.
Piquita's daughter Ayla hasn't plucked up the courage to explore the tree stump yet.
Mum having a new one has been a big shock to Ayla. She was pretty much secure in her position as the princess of the group because she was the daughter of the dominant male and the dominant female. So she's had her nose put severely out of joint by the arrival of her baby brother. At the moment, the adults are all still around the tree stump, so Ayla and Diego have hung back slightly, just because they're just not sure about going over there and maybe getting told off because they maybe overstep the mark and get into something that the adults actually want. So what they're doing is just hanging around in the trees just above the root, so they're close enough that they can have a good look, see what's going on, but they're far enough away that they're not going to get into trouble. Diego just now is just sort of in the early teens. He's learning what he needs to learn in order to grow up to be a big dominant male himself, so he's trying out lots of dominance displays. Ayla's finally there. She's finally foraging around in the root. Looks as if she's big and brave. She might not last there very long, but at the moment she's certainly enjoying it. So yeah, big congratulations to Ayla.
At the Orang nursery, Kai is showing no signs of missing his mum and is having a great time with his old friend Hsiao-Lan. And Oshin, Sylvester and the others have finally calmed down after the excitement of the new arrival. The Orang team want to distract them, so are planning a treat to keep them all occupied.
We've got some yoghurt pots and bottles. They've got yoghurt and dried fruit in, and I'm just throwing them out onto the roof so that the orangutans can try and get them through and play with them. If we just throw them straight into the playroom, then they've demolished them in about 2 seconds flat, so it makes it a bit more fun for them to play with. The bottles are too big, they won't go through the mesh. But the orangutans are quite used to this game now. They have different techniques for working them through.
Where food is concerned, nothing is ever a problem for O'Sheen.
Some of them like to break the bottles and try and get some of the treats out still on top of the mesh. Sylvester can put his hand right through, but he doesn't have the strength to pull the bottles through completely, whereas others, like O'Sheen, for example, tend to have a lot of strength and pull them straight through the mesh.
Kai and Xiao-Ning aren't missing out. They've got their own supply of bottles. Ning has a delicate approach, but Kai uses O'Sheen's technique.
In the wild, orangutans tend to eat in trees. They spend all of their daylight hours up in the trees, so we find it quite important to try and make sure things are put up as high as possible to try and encourage some natural foraging behaviour. Everybody seems to be enjoying themselves. I think it's one of their favourite activities. It keeps them occupied for a long time and they seem to have a lot of fun.
Today on Monkey Life, Alison and Jeremy go to the rescue of 4 marmosets in the West Midlands.
Yeah. Well done, Jeremy. Short and sweet.
Woolly monkey Milo tries to follow in Dad's footsteps, but Mum Lena has other ideas.
She will not let Milo go until she knows it's safe herself.
And Peanut's new baby finally gets a name. Monkey World in Dorset is one of the largest and oldest sanctuaries of its kind on the planet. For 25 years, the team have been rescuing and rehabilitating unwanted and abused primates from all over the world.
This is always the most stressful time. I want to see Kiki fit and healthy and up.
The park is run by Dr. Alison Cronin and is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes. It's 6:30 in the morning and Alison is setting off on another rescue. She's heading to the West Midlands to pick up 4 marmosets in need of a home. A court has ruled they must be removed from their owners after they were found guilty of causing unnecessary suffering to a baby marmoset.
Morning. Morning. You want to check your gloves anyway in the back? Got one.
Animal Director Jeremy Keeling is going along to help Alison.
Got blankets, bowls, some insects for them. I've got a bit of fruit in the car already, a catching net in case we need to. We'll see how we go, but I think we've got everything we need.
It's going to be a long day. The cruelty to the marmoset called Mikey came to light after a couple sold him for £650. The woman who bought him was so worried about the state he was in, she took him to a pet shop who alerted the RSPCA. He was found to have bone disease and fractures and had to be put down.
This was a fairly high-profile case that went down a couple of weeks ago that I had read about in the press, and then lo and behold, we got the call to ask if we could help with the animals that were involved with the marmosets. So whether or not these marmosets will stay at Monkey World long-term or not remains to be seen, but we've offered them temporary specialist accommodation. And of course, we'll need to see what physical condition they're in, because indeed that was the problem with the infant that subsequently had to be put to sleep. It had terrible, terrible rickets or nutritional bone disease and was in a really poorly way.
Alison and Jeremy are due to meet representatives of the RSPCA and the police before they go to the couple's house to collect the monkeys.
Morning. Morning. Hey, Ian, how are you doing?
Right, Alison. Good to see you again.
Again. Yes.
How are you?
I'm all right. Nice to meet you, Jackie.
Mikey developed rickets because of a lack of vitamin D3. Marmosets, which are kept as pets, need to be given this supplement because they don't get enough sunshine in this country.
Wow, that's nasty. His pelvis is just shattered to pieces.
7 fractures altogether.
I mean, the arms are bent, the tail's bent, but the pelvis looks, that's just,
but the pelvis, and
I can hardly bear looking at.
Folding fractures.
Yeah.
It's getting more and more common that people are acquiring these monkeys, whether from the internet, from newspapers, from breeders, with having little to no knowledge at all about their care. They're specialist animals, as we know, and they should not be treated as domestic pets.
The police always accompany the RSPCA when animals are being confiscated.
I've just had a quick debriefing with RSPCA and the local police, just in case anything gets a bit tricky. And cleared up a few issues that I had about the marmosets and understanding the court case and why these marmosets are being confiscated. So I'm all clear on that now, and we're just all gonna head over to the gentleman's house and take the monkeys, so see how we go.
In Dorset, the park's youngest golden-cheeked gibbon has finally got a name. Peanut gave birth to a baby boy 2 months ago.
Well, after much debate, we've actually decided to call the baby Tio. Now, the reason for this is we all agreed we wanted a name beginning with T, so that it fitted in very well with Tien and Tie Nang. And we wanted something that was Vietnamese as well. It just means Tom, and it's a really nice, lovely name that fits in very well with the family. Tio is doing really, really well. We're really happy with him. He's holding on tightly to Mum, which is the most important thing for him still to be doing. You can see that he's starting to take a bit of interest in the world. He watches things going by, and he's starting to stretch his head out and have a look at things, but still holding on tight to Mum at the moment.
Peanut's daughter, 3-year-old Tie Nang, is besotted with her younger brother.
Tie Nang, as a young female golden cheek gibbon, it is really important that she actually watches this baby and sees what Mum's doing with the baby as well. She definitely wants to play with him, but he's still too young for that yet. So when she goes over, Mum's giving her lots of grooming and fussies, and she's getting to watch the baby, but she hasn't got her hands on him just yet.
Her older brother, 5-year-old Tien, is less interested in Tio.
Tien and Tie Nang have got a lot of energy, and at the moment, because Tie Nang isn't getting that attention from Mum all the time, she's actually spending a lot of time with her big brother, and they have lots of wrestling matches, chasing games, things like that. So it's brilliant for them. It's really helping their personalities actually come out. It's helping build their strength and their stamina and their agility in the trees as well. Pretty much they get on very well all the time.
Dad Peng Yo is sensibly avoiding Mum and Tio.
Pangyo's basically keeping out the way with Peanut and the small baby at the moment, letting her get on with that, and he's spending the time looking after the older kids, making sure that they're safe and they're actually having a lot of fun playing with him as well, so he's doing the right thing at the moment.
Peanut has proved to be a great mum time and time again.
She's done it all before, and she knows exactly what she's got to do, so we're really pleased how well she's doing.
Alison and Jeremy are on their way to pick up 4 marmosets in Stourbridge near Birmingham. The owners have been banned from ever keeping animals again, but the team don't know how they're going to react when the monkeys are taken away. With the police and the RSPCA alongside them, the owners allow Alison and Jeremy into the garden, but don't want to be filmed.
Well, do you want to have a look at the pens and see what we need to do?
Brilliant.
Okay.
The marmosets, who've been named Gizmo, Lucky, Bubble and Squeak, were bought from a dealer who encouraged them to take breeding pairs. The baby that died belonged to Bubble and Squeak. To give them the best care, Alison needs to find out as much as she can from the owner.
So these two are about how old, do you know? So how long?
So roughly about the same.
About the same.
Roughly. It's nice just to watch
And
them
out
now.
of curiosity, how much did he sell them to you for?
700, I think they was.
Each?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marmosets come from South America. They're popular with the pet trade because they breed quickly and they almost always have twins. Jeremy has got the tricky job of catching these four and getting them into their travel crates.
Now, if you can just...
Yep, I'll mind doors for you.
I can lock myself in as well.
Gizmo and Lucky are first.
So Jeremy's now gonna basically open up the tiny little bedroom and try and grab. We've got them locked into the bedrooms and he'll try and grab one at a time and put them into the box. Because in the setup, it's just, he could chase them around the outer cage, but if you're in a smaller area, it's quicker and faster just to grab. That's one been grabbed. Just make sure you twist those locks on those cages right, otherwise you'll have them out with you. Sounds like number two.
So, 2 down, 2 to go.
There's a tail in
We
that
could set these inside and we'll face them just to keep them warm and facing each other. Is that all right?
Yep.
Bubble and Squeak are obviously frightened, but Jeremy has done this many times before. The team have to be careful the marmosets don't escape into the garden.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, got you. You're good.
It's not easy to catch monkeys in this shed, as there are plenty of places for them to hide. Jeremy has to be cautious because marmosets have a nasty bite.
All done? Might just want to leave that one in until you get number two. Well done, Jeremy. Short and sweet.
Relax.
All good.
Bubble, Squeak, Gizmo and Lucky will soon be joining the other 12 marmosets at the park.
We've got everybody loaded up. I'm really happy Jeremy worked his magic. 4 monkeys in the box in really quick, smart time. So now it's just we'll get him back to the park, get him settled. And then I'll be consulting with RSPCA on where their final home is. I don't know that it'll be at Monkey World or if they might end up some other place, but really we're just offering assistance to RSPCA on a case that they prosecuted.
There's been a lot of upheaval for Owaska's woolly monkeys recently. They've moved into a new house, and today they're going to be allowed into their outdoor enclosure for the first time.
Owaska's group have now settled into their new house. We've given them a few days just to get used to everything that's in there. They've explored every inch of that. They've seen all of us in there sort of fussing around this enclosure from their house window. So they seem to be quite curious as to what's going on here. So hopefully as soon as we open the slide, they're going to be quite excited.
Leader Owaska doesn't need any encouragement. But Quappa and Zingu, 2 of the females, are more hesitant. They're not sure what to make of their new surroundings. Lena and baby Milo make their way towards them.
Owaska at the moment is just sort of running around displaying on everything and marking his territory. I think he's decided that this is a wonderful place to be and he's just making sure that he explores every single nook and cranny of it. Woolly monkeys are quite territorial. They do live in big family groups in the wild, and obviously the Amazon is being lost at a colossal rate. So they all have to make sure that they mark their territory, so that if any other group comes along, they know that it's already been claimed.
Once he's finished his patrol of the fence, Oscar heads back for the others.
Oscar's calling the girls, basically that's part of his job. Now that he's made sure that everything's nice and safe and that he's claimed that for them as their territory, he's going to shout on the girls, he's making sure that they know that it is nice and safe, and he basically wants them to join him. Woolly monkeys have quite specific calls for lots of different things. If they alarm call it something, it's a very distinctive noise in comparison to just a contact call where they're just chatting to each other. So the one he's making at the moment is a little contact call to the girls. Without actually seeing each other, they can still keep tabs on where everyone is.
Quappa and Zingu have plucked up the courage to join Oscar. They immediately start to explore and forage.
This is going to be their home now from now on, so they need to get to know it, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Oscar goes back for Lena and Milo. They haven't ventured any further. Milo is 5 months old and adores his dad. He's keen to go with him, but his mum has other ideas.
Oscar keeps going over and trying to convince both of them to come over and into the enclosure. Lena's not quite ready yet, and she's not quite ready to let Milo go yet either. She will not let Milo go until she knows it's safe herself, and it doesn't matter what Oscar tells her. He could tell her till this time tomorrow that it's safe, and she's still not going to go until she's completely ready, so she's not going to let Milo go. They'll do it in their own time. We're not going to force them to do anything they don't want to do. They'll just learn it on their own, and that's the best way.
The park often benefits from large donations of food, and today, Hananya's gang are in for a tasty surprise.
And some scrambled egg! Protein is an important part of a chimp's diet. We provide it in the form of eggs once a week. Their primate pellet that we also feed them has a good quantity of protein in there. Obviously, we wouldn't like to overload them with eggs, but as we have had quite a lot in today, we're giving them a treat. Hananya is probably the biggest fan of eggs, and usually he's quite gentle and he doesn't always steal from the other members of the group, even though he's the alpha male and could do, except when there's eggs in the equation, then he will steal from the lower rankers.
In the wild, chimpanzees sometimes eat birds' eggs they come across when they're climbing in the trees, so it's not an unusual food to give them.
We're going to feed the chimps little cups with a small portion in, so I expect some of the high rankers will grab a few cups, so they'll probably get quite a big portion of this, which is why there's not a huge amount here, because obviously we wouldn't want to massively overfeed them with eggs.
The cups are scattered all over the playroom to try to make sure everyone gets their share. The team have also put out some bread and pineapple to give the chimps some variety. Cherry, the dominant female, grabs as many cups as she can. While leader Hananya makes a grand entrance, but then ignores the eggs. Maybe it's Kate's cooking. Most of the other chimps seem to prefer the bread, especially low-ranker Tutti, who's got her hands full. Evelyn does at least try the eggs, but quickly decides she prefers the pineapple. And it's a no-go from Marjolaine too. A large part of a chimp's diet is made up of ripe fruits, and Trudy, who's a favourite of everyone in the group, has gone straight for the pineapple.
The chimps were really excited when we put the scrambled egg cups into the playroom, but didn't actually seem to eat much of it. They sort of picked the cups up and had a sort of sniff and look around, but then kind of discarded it. But there was also lots of other nice things in the playroom at the same time, so they may eat sort of the remains overnight or very early tomorrow morning, obviously, once they're less full up. I was quite surprised and quite disappointed because Hananya absolutely loves eggs normally when we hand them out as boiled eggs, but obviously we can't win them all.
Alison and Jeremy have arrived back at Monkey World with the 4 marmosets they've rescued from Stourbridge in the West Midlands.
Hey, guys.
Primate care staff have been preparing some temporary bedrooms for them to make them feel at home.
These are the 2 youngsters. They're a bit more flighty. We could, if you want to carry the other 2 in, Jeremy. But you can see they're already banging off the walls a bit. This one here is. So this is Gizmo and Lucky. Jeremy's got Bubble and Squeak. The youngish ones.
The team don't know yet whether the marmosets will be staying at the park or going elsewhere, but they'll look after them until the RSPCA make a decision.
Ready? Okay, yeah, as long as you're happy.
Gizmo and Lucky are released first. Having been shut inside their travelling crate for so long, they're eager to run around.
There she is. Oh. The female's pretty tiny and a little bit skinny, so we'll want to check her out and keep an eye on her condition. It'll be up to primate care staff to get a very good therapeutic dose, so a higher than normal dose of vitamin D3 into them, just to supplement them straight away. And then we'll start building them up, because I think that they could both use a little bit of weight putting on. The male looks better than the female, but no, we'll have to keep an eye on them.
Bubble and Squeak are next. This is the pair whose baby had to be put down because it was suffering so badly from rickets and fractures.
Everybody's huddling together and sort of stuck up in the corner. And really, for this evening now, it's late in the afternoon, we just need to make sure that they have both food and water right up near to them, because I don't think that they're going to be sort of exploring too much today. And then start clean slate tomorrow morning, get them moving around, and hopefully by tomorrow it'll be a whole new life for the 2 pairs of marmosets, and they'll be well on their way to sort of a bit of a healthier life.
This time on Monkey Life. It's all hands on deck when Sam and Sasak are allowed back out into the trees.
Jeremy and Kat, you've got eyes on them down there? Keep an eye where she gets to down on the ground.
Woolly monkey Bueno is taken to the operating theatre.
He's lost a lot of weight recently. Out of the dominant males, he's our smallest one now, and this has to be looked at. There has to be a reason for it.
And Lingga gives a hostile welcome to newcomer Kai.
We just have to make sure that the overexcitement doesn't get out of hand, because right now we're going at it like sumo wrestlers, but with teeth.
Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate unwanted and abandoned primates from all over the world.
Have you packed your stuff? Got your favourite comics and everything?
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes. The aim is to give them as natural a life as possible. For several months, Siamang gibbons Sam and Sasak have been living in a temporary home, while their tree-filled outdoor enclosure has been upgraded. The team decided to take down the electric fence when Sasak arrived and instead erect a smooth aluminium one the gibbons can't climb. They've also taken the opportunity to improve the rest of the enclosure.
Moving up some ropes right high up into the trees and putting up some feeding platforms quite high up as well, just to encourage them off the ground and encouraging their natural gibbon behaviour.
Sam has been through a lot of upheaval and the gibbon team are keen to get him settled.
With losing Onion, moving house and meeting a new girl, it would be nice to get him back and back to some normality that he knows.
Sasak too has had to cope with a lot of changes.
When she gets there and she's faced with the nice big outside, hopefully it'll make up for a little bit of stress of moving.
The first stage is to get them back into Sam's old house. To do that, they need to be persuaded to climb into a carrying crate. The gibbons, like all the species at the park, have a dedicated team looking after them. This allows the staff to build up trust with the primates, which is particularly important on days like today. Even new girl Sasak hasn't caused them problems.
She's doing well. She went in very well. Sam went straight in. Sas had 30-second delay and then she came straight in, so really good. Really happy.
The enclosure does look different now the new fence has been put up, and Sam may find that unsettling. But the gibbon team are taking things slowly and want the two of them to get used to the house before they go outside.
Push, Sam, push. Good boy.
Sam's just come out of the crate. He's just shot inside, obviously. He doesn't want to be in the crate too much. He's a bit anxious because he's separated from Sasak. They're quite strongly bonded, so they don't really like being separate at all. So the sooner we get her inside, the better.
We ready?
Push us up, Sass. Come on, sweetheart.
Sasak is unperturbed, but Sam seems a bit on edge.
They've settled down now. Sasak has just helped herself to a bit of breakfast there. So, yeah, Sam's obviously a little bit anxious still, but she seems fairly calm, actually. A lot calmer than him.
Once the gibbons have got used to their new home, they'll be allowed back into the trees. The Siamangs aren't the only ones having changes made to their enclosure. Butch's group of chimps are being kept inside because they're getting a brand new climbing frame. The old one had to be demolished to make way for the new structure. But the frame had to be built in stages because there'd be trouble in the all-male group if they were holed up for too long.
The enclosure was getting a little bit old, a little bit tired. The bachelor boys were getting a bit bored with it as well. It was the same thing every day.
It's a much bigger frame now, with a lot more usable space.
We put a huge amount of things up high for those guys that love to climb and love to swing around. But we've also put some low-hanging hoses as well, just to help those guys that aren't quite so good at climbing.
The design will help the lower-ranking chimps who are often given a hard time by more senior members of the group.
Put in some of these black half rounds that you can't see through. So for the lower ranking ones like Kiko and Charlie, we wanted them to have areas that they could go that the big boys couldn't see them.
A new feeder will make the bachelors work harder for their treats.
We can put different sized food items in there. And the idea is that it's a really good exercise for them to really, really search for the food. So they have to roll it to try and knock the food and get it out.
The boys seem to like what they see. This group are a particularly rowdy bunch, and the chimp team are hoping this new climbing frame will help dispel excess energy.
Absolutely loving it. It's been really nice to watch them actually getting up higher than they've ever been before. particularly Paco. He's just climbed right up to the top pole. And he puffs himself up to make himself look as big as possible. Plus, he can also see what's going on in the whole enclosure. He can keep an eye on everyone and what they're actually doing as well.
As hoped, the lower anchors take sanctuary in the hiding places.
Seamus and Charlie at the moment are both having a really good play session. They're thoroughly enjoying the red hosing nets that we have out there. They've got big wide grins on their faces. They're laughing and having a great time out there. Generally, when you see the bachelors playing, it's a really good sign because they're all nice and relaxed. No one's really feeling that anxious. The new blue barrels that we put up are absolutely great. They seem to love them. Sammy is actually really enjoying the barrel. He is being a little bit lazy. He's just sitting under it and twirling it around in the hopes that food kind of falls into his lap.
Sammy has put on weight recently, and the chimp team are hoping this new climbing frame will give him more exercise.
We would like to get a little bit more weight off him if possible, particularly now that we've just put up the red hosing. It is helping him because he has got handholds to climb up. We've so far only seen him going about halfway, but we hope that in the future he will gain confidence and actually go that little bit further. So little steps at a time. Everyone seems to be having an absolute amazing time. We've never seen all of the boys outside for so long.
At the Orang nursery, newest recruit Kai is settling in well and has been having a great time with Xiao-Ning. He's shown no signs of missing his mum, Xiao-Kwai, who he was recently separated from.
Kai's obviously with Xiao-Ning, which we pretty well thought was going to be okay because they know each other, or reasonably know each other, and that's gone really, really well. So now Lingga and Dinda are in the next bedroom waiting for their turn. Probably a silly thing to say, but they're only little people, so it's a bit limited to how much damage they can do to each other. So anyway, we're going to open the door and see. Prove me a liar. Again.
When you're ready. Ready. No, you're good.
Lingga, in particular, has a reputation of being rather hostile to newcomers. She's already tried to have a go at Kai through the mesh, so this encounter could be interesting. Kai is keen to meet Dinda, and she responds well.
That's good. Look at Dinda. Good girl. Oh, see, it's not so bad.
But when he approaches Lingga, she's not so welcoming and sticks close to Dinda.
All right, Lingga.
I think he's at least as hard as you, Lingga.
These introductions are being done in a small area on purpose, so that if there's trouble, the team can separate the orangs more easily.
He's just saying hello to everybody. Of course, Lingga's got an attitude and he doesn't care.
Lingga seems to have met her match in Kai. Realising he's not getting anywhere, he turns his attention back to Dinda.
Dinda's been perfect. She's very friendly and sociable. That's probably why Lingga's got so much of an attitude. Because her best friend is very shallow and has dumped her already. Come on, Lingga, join in. Yeah, she says, I'll join in.
Lingga goes on the offensive again. She doesn't like Kai playing with her buddy.
Lingga's finally started sort of relaxing a bit more, and like, if you know her, the look on her face has gone from tight-lipped and so on to sort of like, oh, this is fun. And they like wrestling and playing hard. We just have to make sure that the overexcitement doesn't get out of hand, because right now we're going at it like sumo wrestlers, but with teeth. For Kai, it's just fantastic because Xiao-Kwai Hu, he's got his hands fully occupied with some nice young ladies and a really nice transition for him. But of course, we still have Jolie, Oshin, and Sylvester to go yet.
And Kai will need Lingga and Dinda on side for that meeting. There are 3 groups of woolly monkeys at the park, each led by a dominant male. Bueno is very well respected in his group. He arrived at the park in 2005 as part of the European Endangered Species Breeding Programme and has fathered 3 children.
Bueno, out of all of our dominant males, is probably the quietest one. He's very much a man's man in that he does do everything that a dominant male should do. He mates with the females, he makes sure that no one's in any danger. He's always the first one to give out the alarm call whenever he perceives any danger. And that's exactly what you need from a dominant male.
But over recent weeks, the woolly monkey team have become increasingly concerned about Bueno.
He's lost a lot of weight recently. Out of the dominant males, he's our smallest one now. And he's actually smaller than the females that we have now, which is a really, really worrying thing. He hasn't actually went off his food any. He's still eating really well, but for some reason just not gaining any weight, and this has to be looked at. There has to be a reason for it.
To carry out any investigations, Bueno is going to have to be put under anaesthetic, and it's the woolly monkey team who are going to give him the injection. They know him very well, so it's much easier for them to do this.
Excellent.
At the hospital, wildlife vet John Lewis and the parks vet Mike Nathan are ready and waiting. Bueno has had an anaesthetic before when he had a tooth extracted. But anaesthesia always carries risks, and the team haven't made this decision lightly. After feeling his chest, they prepare for an X-ray.
All yours.
Okay,
Captain McGrath.
Fire.
Mike notices something unusual.
What on earth is that? Oh, something odd there, John.
Sorry?
That doesn't look good.
What is it?
That's what we're feeling here. That's all soft tissue. Suspect that that is where our growth is likely to be, what we can feel.
A growth could indicate a cancerous tumour. Mike wants another view, so prepares for a second X-ray, this time just of the chest area.
X-ray.
John continues to monitor Bueno's breathing. Anaesthetics can go wrong at any point. This X-ray suggests a different diagnosis.
Oh, there's...
Wow. Cardio.
He's got a hugely enlarged heart, so what we would probably call a cardiomyopathy. I think there's more to it than that, but that would be why he's lethargic. Unless that is a... unless there's more to it than that, and that's, you know, a cardiac... It's pericardial fluid around it. The only way we'd know that is to scan him.
We felt a small soft tissue something, a lump, just underneath his rib cage there. And I don't know what that is, and the X-ray, although it shows it as a lump, doesn't identify what it is. But more to the point, his heart is hugely enlarged. Now, that can be damage to heart muscle. It could even be a secondary enlargement because he's been chronically anemic. We don't know yet, but we're going to run some further tests on him, including specific tests for heart muscle damage. And let's see what that reveals.
As the diagnosis isn't conclusive, John takes some bloods to test for other potential problems.
Think that's enough, Mike?
Yeah, it's fine.
While he's still asleep, they also take the opportunity to weigh him.
7.55.
That's 2 kilos below the average weight for a male woolly monkey of his age. Primate care staff are going to have to keep a very close eye on Bueno over the next few months.
If Bueno didn't recover from whatever it is he's suffering from, it would be a huge loss, not only to us personally and emotionally, but to the woolly monkey collection as a whole. These guys are so few and far between now, and every individual is precious, so we really need to make sure we're doing our best by Bueno and that that doesn't happen.
At the Siamang gibbon house, Sam and Sasak have settled into their new home and are busy grooming. This is an important activity for Siamangs and shows how strong the bond between them has become. The team have decided it's time for them to be allowed outside into their tree-filled enclosure for the first time since it's been refurbished. Kat is doing one final check.
I'm just checking the ground for any kind of debris left over from the building work. Things like this, we've got little shards of metal. Now these shards are actually look quite innocuous to us, but they're kind of razor sharp on the edges. So obviously we don't want the siamangs coming out here and actually picking these up and unfortunately eating them. That could result in all sorts of injuries to them. So I'm just looking to make sure there's none of them left.
They want to encourage the gibbons to feed in the canopy as they would in the wild.
This is a pulley feeder that we put up for Sam and Sasak. So I'm just releasing the rope so that I can lower the pulley down from the tree and put some food in it. Well, naturally, gibbons will feed high up in the trees. They really don't come down to the ground very often. So this allows us to actually put their food up high, and it's a much more natural way for them to eat. We can't wait to see Sam and Sasak back up in the trees. It'll be so exciting. It's where they belong, and yeah, it's going to be a really great day.
Inside, Sam and Sasak are unaware of all the excitement.
Guys, you ready to come out?
They don't seem in any hurry.
Sam, come on.
Jeremy always says better slow than fast, so in their own time, that's fine. We'll wait them out.
Finally, Sasak emerges. In gibbon society, the females are more dominant than the males, so it's no surprise that she goes first.
They seem to be exploring the trees quite a lot and the ground as well, so far so good.
Sam is unsettled by the new fence. Siamangs are native to Malaysia, Thailand and Sumatra. They're the largest of all gibbons and can move quickly. The team have worked hard to make sure the enclosure is safe, but everyone needs to be vigilant to ensure Sam and Sasak don't find an escape route that's been overlooked.
Yeah, Jeremy and Kat, you've got eyes on them down there? Yeah, just keep an eye where she gets to down on the ground.
There's points of the enclosure that we can't see from this angle, so we've just got staff dotted around, just so that we can make sure everything's fine.
One thing I'm quite surprised about is Sasak isn't staying as close to him as I thought she might, but everybody's really calm. Sam isn't sure about the new fence, but he's had a look at it up close and went back into the trees.
The feeders certainly seem to be a success. Obviously, with all the other interesting and exciting things to do, they went off exploring rather than sitting eating, but they've come back and they've been picking throughout the morning, just taking all their favourite bits and pieces. Sasak has actually surprised us all. She is so laid back. She seems to just take everything in her stride. She doesn't really seem bothered or upset whatever's happening to her, so we're really, really impressed with how well she's done. Sam and Sasak definitely are our Romeo and Juliet in the park at the moment. They just seem to be totally in love, and they are always grooming and touching, hugging, and just having a lovely time together.
Unfortunately, the weather stops them exploring further.
The heavens have just opened and the rain is getting quite heavy now. Sam and Sasak have had the sense to actually come inside, so we've actually taken the opportunity and we've shut them in for now. They've explored every inch of the enclosure, they've used a lot of muscles today, and they've also had a very emotional day as well because there's a lot of excitement for them as well, so I'd imagine that they're just going to want to tuck down to bed quite early and sleep right through.
Today on Monkey Life, Hsiao-Lan finally has her baby. But the team face serious problems when the new mum refuses to look after it.
What, you want me to come with you and leave the baby?
And Capuchin Tau proves a big hit with the ladies.
Mehdi in particular is taken with them at the moment, as well as Sophia, who's been trying to sort of get his attention.
Monkey World in Dorset is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
They're all going to have a chance to live proper lives again. Perfect.
The park is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes from 17 different species. There's a crisis at Gordon's orang enclosure. Hsiao-Lan has given birth to a little girl. But Xiao Kuai has got hold of her.
Are you? Clever girl. You have a pretty baby. What are we going to do with you?
Hsiao-Lan had her baby before the orang team arrived this morning, so they don't know exactly what happened.
It isn't a straightforward situation. Did Xiao Kuai steam in there and snatch the baby from Hsiao-Lan, or did Hsiao-Lan just put it down because all of these guys are orphans and they don't necessarily know how to look after their baby? So it's 50-50 chance that Hsiao-Lan wants nothing to do with the baby. But Xiao Kuai does. She's made that abundantly clear. She's quite a formidable, fierce mother, and she's got hold of a new baby.
Xiao Kuai has always had strong maternal instincts and already has 2 children. Her youngest son, Jin, is only 2 years old and not at all impressed with this new baby that's suddenly appeared.
Really, we're going to have to start making some serious decisions about whether we leave Xiao Kuai, who's a good mum, with the baby, or we give Hsiao-Lan a chance to get her baby back.
Hsiao-Lan is still bleeding and seems withdrawn. This is her first child. She's lower down in the pecking order than Xiao Kuai, and it may be that she was challenged for the baby. Alison and Jeremy decide they have to give Hsiao-Lan a chance to be a mother, but Xiao Kuai is not going to give up the baby easily.
In order to get that baby off of her, we're going to have to give her a full anesthetic, because there's no way on this planet that Xiao Kuai is going to let go her new adopted little girl.
Doesn't see anything.
The park's vet, Mike Nathan, has arrived. It's decided that Kate, one of the team who looks after Xiao Kuai on a daily basis, will stand the best chance of giving her the injection. All the orangs have regular needle training to prepare them for days like this. They want to keep Xiao Kuai as calm as possible.
Yeah, she's had it. Just took a hand injection, so hopefully she'll go down pretty soon, and then at least we can give Hsiao-Lan a chance with her own baby.
Hey, Xiao Kuai, look what I got over here. Great girl.
Got Jin right there.
As the anaesthetic begins to take effect, Jeremy manages to persuade Jin to go into another bedroom away from his mum.
Okay. She's still, oh no, she looks pretty hot.
With Xiao Kuai asleep, Jeremy has to act quickly so the baby doesn't become trapped underneath her.
If you just want to help my get her laid out, I'll hold it for you until...
Well, you can do this, Alison, won't you?
No. You took your cow into recovery?
Yeah.
In the wild, the umbilical cord would either drop off naturally or the mother would bite it off and clean the area. As he has the opportunity, Mike decides to cut it to make sure it doesn't get caught.
Yeah. Oh, squeaky. Squeaky.
She's beautiful. She's A beautiful little girl, and look, she's trying to suckle. Yes, it's Jeremy over to Jay now.
I'm going through the tunnel.
Now the moment of truth. Will Hsiao-Lan take her baby back? The team are hoping she'll feel less threatened now she's separated from Xiao Kuai.
And try and get it up to a breast if that's a possibility.
The baby needs to suckle, and at first, the signs are promising. But Hsiao-Lan quickly changes her mind.
Okay, you might hang on a minute if you're happy she's stable.
Jeremy's determined to give Hsiao-Lan every chance to reclaim her baby, and tries again. But she doesn't want to know. On the third attempt, Hsiao-Lan does at least have a good look.
So, quick thinking, Jeremy, I know it's very early days. Do you think she's showing even remotely enough interest to try throughout the day, you and her together? I'm just not convinced. If she's not going to scoop it up and she's sort of moving away from it from room to room, I'm inclined to virtually put it back on Xiao Kuai.
It's a huge dilemma for the team. If they're going to give the baby back to Xiao Kuai, they have to do it before she wakes up, and they can't keep her anaesthetised much longer.
Need to turn that heater up, because I don't baby getting cold. You good girl.
It looks like there could be a breakthrough. In the wild, female orangs watch their mums bring up their siblings. That's how they learn to care for their own babies. But Hsiao-Lan was taken from her mum at an early age, so never learnt these essential skills. She was brought over from Taiwan after being rescued from an amusement arcade.
Is everybody taking my arm?
Yes and no. Well,
what, you want me to come with you? Leave the baby? So you and I disappear into the sunset and leave the baby? Whatever.
I'm kind of with you, I think. I think maybe just a little bit longer, but if you've got Xiao Kuai down, yeah.
But we know Xiao Kuai is going to do well for a trouble friendship. I think she's concerned and likes it, but I don't think she's going to mother that baby. Jeremy?
Hsiao-Lan doesn't really want to know at all, so Xiao Kuai, it turns out Xiao Kuai rescued the baby, and therefore she can have baby.
Final call?
Yep.
I think you gave it a chance.
Well, I can steal away your baby. Can't stop me.
So the decision is made. Xiao Kuai is going to be a foster mum. Fortunately, because she's still feeding Jin, she has plenty of milk to spare. And before Mike reverses the effect of the anaesthetic, Alison wants the baby to have a good suckle.
If you put some...
That's sucking, you can see now. See, it's drawing now, you can... So far, so good. The baby's less than 2 hours old, so it's very early, but everything's in the right place. 20 fingers, no toes, no nose, no neck, coconut hairdo. It's fine. Good orang.
We tried to put the baby back onto Hsiao-Lan. She really didn't show any interest whatsoever, so second best is Xiao Kuai. If she's got milk, we've checked. She's still under sedation right now, under anesthetic, but we've got the baby on her breast and it's suckling, so we're going to let Xiao Kuai have a go at rearing the baby.
It's much better for the baby to be brought up by Xiao Kuai rather than be hand-reared by the team. But they're aware it's not an ideal situation.
Xiao Kuai is an excellent mother, but really it's too early for her to be having a new infant to feed. She's got Jin with her, who's not even 3 years old yet, and he's still suckling. If Xiao Kuai keeps that infant, will he turn into a green-eyed monster and really start having a go at it or not? We'll have to watch that carefully.
The team are happy the baby has had enough milk for the time being.
Probably better wake her up and give it back to her, just in case she does some in her...
Or falls or drunk.
In her sort of...
Okay, let's let it feed until it stops.
But all the best-laid plans go wrong, and Xiao-Kuai wakes sooner than they were expecting. They have to make a quick exit.
Okay, and then if people want to back off a wee bit from her, I'll make her feel comfortable.
The next 24 hours will be critical. The team need to monitor the situation carefully to make sure the baby's feeding properly and Xiao-Kuai continues to care for her. There's love in the air over at Fifi's Capuchin enclosure. New boy Tau and his friend Bruce recently moved in with the girls because they were having a hard time with the boys. Tau seems to have been an instant hit, particularly with Scarlett, and today they're being allowed outside.
The weather isn't the best today, but I think Tau will come outside. He's been looking through the window, particularly if Scarlett comes out, he'll follow her out as well. I'm more worried about getting him back in at the end of the night.
As predicted, Scarlett heads out first, and Tau is quick to follow.
There we go. Oh,
yes, good boy, Tau.
So far, the two boys have only met the lower-ranking girls. The Capuchin team have decided to leave the more dominant females till they've settled in. This is Tau's first experience of female Capuchin monkeys, as he was kept on his own as a pet until recently. And there's no doubt he's taken a shine to Scarlett.
When she does show him some interest, he quite often does sort of do some little flirting back, and I've seen him playing a lot with her as well.
However, today, Scarlett seems distracted, which is good news for Tau's other admirers.
He's had a couple of followers. Maddie in particular is taken with him at the moment, as well as Sophia, who's been trying to sort of get his attention by throwing sticks and tagging him every now and then. But at the moment, he's sort of not overly interested in them.
Tagging is a natural Capuchin behaviour, where they reach out and touch a more dominant animal. Tau seems to be cornered. Maddie and Sophia are both fighting for his affections.
Sophia went up and sort of tagged him and then ran away. I think she was hoping he was going to follow, because she looked back, but Tau was busy munching on grass. So, yeah, I don't think she's going to have much luck.
Maddie hovers around hoping Tau will notice her.
It'll be interesting to see whether they eventually wear Tau down and he does suddenly take notice of them and start interacting with them.
But Tau isn't the only one getting attention.
Bruce is doing amazingly. He's also turning into a bit of a ladies' man. He's got quite a few followers as well.
Phoenix has a particular soft spot for Bruce. Unlike Tau, he doesn't play hard to get and is happy to flirt with her.
I think because a lot of them are a similar species to him, he does seem to fit in a lot better, whereas initially with Tau, they're a little bit wary, which is understandable. He's quite a big monkey and he's quite striking in amongst all the sort of golden-haired ladies. It's really good to see Tau and Bruce outside, and they're both so relaxed and so happy. Completely different animals down here with the girls.
But there's no respite for Tau. Even when he heads inside, Maddie and Sophia are hot on his heels. Scarlett has some serious competition. Two other residents who are getting on very well are Sam and Sasak. The siamang gibbons are happily settled in their newly refurbished enclosure, and to everyone's delight, are now singing in the trees.
Sam and Sasak's song has really strengthened over the last few months. You can hear that in the fact that it's really well synchronised, and also they're singing for a lot longer. Gibbons in the wild, they naturally sing because they're very territorial. So basically, it's their way of saying, this is our territory, you keep out. It's very important that this song is very well synchronised because it indicates to everybody that they're a very strong pair. So other gibbons in the territory will know they can't come into that territory because it is a strong bonded pair that's in that area. Sam and Sasak are still getting on fantastically well. They're together all the time. They love spending time, very close physical contact. When I hear Sam and Sasak singing in the morning, it's an amazing feeling. For Sam, it's been such a traumatic year. He's had all sorts of ups and downs, and we just didn't know how this was all going to work out. So seeing them both happy really just makes us happy as well.
It's 24 hours since Xiao-Kuai took on her role as foster mum to Hsiao-Lan's newborn baby girl. And she seems to be relishing it. But the Orang team are monitoring the situation very closely.
The proof of the pudding is going to be during the next couple of days is how much and enough milk the baby's getting. You see it feeding and it appears to be feeding, but you don't know what she's taking. You know, she's in the right place. You don't know the volume. So the next 48 hours is the telling point, whether the baby's alert and strong and obviously being fed.
Hsiao-Lan has made it clear she doesn't want to care for her baby, but the team are concerned as she's very subdued.
Any mother that's been through childbirth knows that, you know, that causes big changes in your body, hormonally and chemically, and so clearly there's an element of that with Hsiao-Lan, that, you know, she's not only exhausted physically, but she's obviously feeling, you know, all out of sorts in herself. So it's just making sure she picks up over the next couple of days.
Alison has decided that everyone needs some normality.
So this morning, we're going to try and put Xiao-Kuai, the new baby, Jin, back together with Ame and Hsiao-Lan, because Hsiao-Lan's just tucked up in her hammock, and hopefully Jin being around will brighten her spirits a bit. But try and get all the ladies back together with Xiao-Kuai, the new adoptive mum.
The team don't know how Hsiao-Lan will react when she sees Xiao-Kuai with her baby. Xiao-Kuai immediately steals Hsiao-Lan's blanket.
Oh, Xiao-Kuai, that's not nice. You can't take her blanket also.
Xiao-Kuai went straight up to Hsiao-Lan. She got out of her hammock and just moved away. Xiao-Kuai's quite a formidable person, so I can't see that anybody's going to mess with her.
The dominant male of the group, Gordon, is being kept away from the girls for the time being.
He's not been with baby yet, and we've kept it that way for today. He's got outside access, so just making sure that he's happy and giving him lots of activities.
It had been thought Gordon may be the father of Hsiao-Lan's baby, but having carefully examined the dates, it looks as though the park's other mature male, Tuan, is the dad. Hsiao-Lan was in his group for a few weeks around the time she fell pregnant.
The other one that we're looking at very closely is, of course, Jin. You know, he's still very young, he's not yet 3. He was still suckling and very dependent on mum, and so, you know, that's not going to stop overnight. It's going to be a gradual process now, and Xiao-Kuai's juggling the needs of a 2.5-year-old and a tiny baby. She certainly still has milk. The baby looks strong and alert and is gripping tightly to Xiao-Kuai, but, you know, the 24-hour mark is a very early stage, you know, and really anything could happen at this point, so it's just a case of praying that it all works out and that baby will be able to stay with Xiao-Kuai and have, you know, the best start in life.
There have been a number of other newborns at the park this year, and thankfully, they all seem to be thriving. But it's not just babies who've made an appearance. The park welcomed its first ever patas monkeys when Jeremy went to Slovenia to pick up Mitza, who'd been kept as a pet for 18 years. Back in Dorset, she was joined by Sissy Joe, who came from a monkey sanctuary in Cornwall. Woolly monkey Sarah arrived from the United States. She was the last female woolly in North America and has now settled happily in Bueno's group. And then there's Sylvester.
Hello, Jeremy.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
He was rehomed from a zoo in Spain and has made a massive difference to big orangutan O'Sheen. She's taken on the role of foster mum, and the two are now inseparable. It's 25 years since the park first opened its doors, offering a lifeline to monkeys and apes who'd suffered from abuse and neglect. In that time, hundreds of primates have been given a safe haven to live out their lives as naturally as possible. But the team know their mission is far from over. Alison is already busy planning another trip to Vietnam. She's hoping to release some endangered pygmy loris back into the wild, as well as track down the gibbons they've already set free. And decisions have to be made about Xiao-Ning's future. At 9 years old, she needs to move out of the orang nursery and join an adult group. Attempts so far have failed, but they have to find a solution. As long as there are primates in need of help, the work will continue.